company featured. Welcome to this Stockbox interview. Joining me on Stockbox today for a talk about the business in general is Andrew Bell, the CEO of Red Rock Resources. So Andrew, it's great to be having a chat with you. How are you?
I'm well, apart from bad toothache. So I'm going off to the emergency dentist this afternoon because I don't want to go off to Africa with a tooth which is playing up.
No, that's not a good idea. No. Well, I hope you can get that sorted today. That's important.
I think so.
Yeah, okay. So thank you for your time today. It's a little bit different. We're having more of a casual kind of discussion rather than an interview. And
yeah, because I told you that looked rather a good backdrop.
You told
It looked like sort of video clip, which from one of the more exciting bits of talk radio.
Yes. Well, maybe if it looks good, we can maybe do it in future. But you wanted to give a bit of a business overview, didn't you? A bit of an update across the whole portfolio. So what's going on?
Well, obviously, we've seen action recently in Australia, where our joint venture that has got the grant of some more licenses. And so that process we've been promised more than we've been given. So the actual process is a little slow, which is understandable in a way because of the combined impacts of COVID lockdowns and of high volume of applications there, mean that I'm actually quite reasonably, I wouldn't say pleased, but I'm relieved at the constant progress that's taking place there as we get more and more licenses granted.
Okay.
Because we can, without a backward look, proceed with our plans to list on the TSX.
Right.
So that's one area where things have been going well. In Congo, we are looking to get a drill program going, and we have, we've got different parameters we're looking at there. Do we combine with someone else's tenements and do an RC program with enough meters for that, which would go very, very fast and be relatively quick. But on the other hand, we're at the end of the rainy season, and the water tables that can be 50 to 80 meters in the dry season can come up to about 20 meters in the rainy season. And what does that mean? It means that you're going to have to use a compressor with an RC rig, and even then you're not going to get below about 50, 60 meters, or you need some expensive equipment. So do we want to do holes that length or go down to 100 meters? And so we're looking, and also, we had rain a couple of days ago there. We want a week without rain, both for the last stage of our geophysics, the IP, and for obviously drilling. And when does the rainy season end? It varies a bit from year to year. So we're dealing with all these parameters, talking to drilling companies, talking to the people on the ground, trying to make the jigsaw pieces fit together so that we're quick out of the blocks the moment we can be in. And I'm going to go over there to follow up on that, make sure things happen quickly, right away, because it's easy to find excuses for delay and for things to happen slowly. I'm for going quickly, even if it means we find people to do some diamond drilling and do a limited number of holes and maybe a limited depth, but we get the diamond drilling in there quickly, because then we're not really affected by any kind of weather conditions. And then in Kenya, we're also getting a drill program lined up and talking again to one or two drill companies there so far. But we're also trying to finalize our drill program, some of which will be building out from what we had there before, the existing resource, and doing well-placed holes that we've designed with CSA to enable us to increase that resource and increase the certainty of the categorization within the deposit area that we've outlined. And part of it will be to look at targets that haven't been tested before, including some recently generated by a geophysics exercise. Now, we've made a bit of a discovery there, which is the South African Zimbabwean partner of our Congolese geologist actually worked on our license 2 or 3 decades ago. And he's at the moment finishing a job in Nigeria, but when he's back, we're going to have a discussion with him, maybe bring him over, because he's a great structural guy, and we think he can help us with planning the next stages, because he knows a lot about greenstones, African greenstones, He knows the license area, and he's a very experienced, very good geologist. So plenty to be getting on with. I had a conference call with the guys in Kenya this morning, and we discussed all the items that are on our agenda for dealing with straight away. And some of them definitely need us to be out there. And then in the meantime, while all of this is going on in our three main areas, Congo, Kenya, and Australasia at the moment, we are also looking at some other projects, and we are looking at beefing up our team, because to go from a £10 million company to a £100 million company, there are some things we've got to do better. Mm-hmm. And the way we present ourselves has got to change slightly. So we've been doing a kind of shadow recruitment exercise, which we're about to now bring down to some definite proposals from people. And we're going to be focusing on some of the things we think we're going to be doing in the very near future. We're negotiating, for example, with the different parties connected with Vector, an Australian company that had a majority interest in a gold asset in Congo, which is one of the biggest probably in Africa. And I think we've been talking to the various parties there. Those discussions are getting to a very interesting stage. I'm not clear about what the exact way forward is, because if we tried to swallow the thing, it would be a reverse forward. So we'd have to do a relisting exercise for Red Rock. But there are many other different geometries in which we could play a part there. And I think we're in a better position than anybody else to see all those different alternatives and advance things at the moment. When it comes to the last stages of actually making something happen, it may be that we lose some of our advantage, because there are some things we don't have, which are colossal financial strength and so on. But we have a lot of assets, knowing the Congo a bit, knowing our way around there, being willing to take the risk of being there, understanding gold exploration in Africa, knowing how to deal with people in Africa, knowing the different parties historically involved in this asset. So we're going to see where that goes, because if we could do something there, even if we only ended up with a part of it, it could be transformational. But there are no certainties in these things. And when you're dealing with administrators of a company that's gone into administration, and assets where not all the obligations to lenders have been fulfilled, there are a lot of different things that can happen. So with the normal programs that we're carrying out, I mean, obviously, the Australians, they will be handling the exploration program as they are at the moment, and the drill program when it comes in Australia. In Kenya and Congo, we have to have a bit of input. When we've got the right people working on it, then we can step back and let them do the job. The things that we from London are going to have to do is continue the detailed supervision of what's happening with our African assets, and developing to get better control of some of the ones we're involved with. We're going to have to deal with the process of the listing in Toronto and structuring ourselves for that. And we're going to be having to negotiate with local parties, particularly in Congo, but also in Kenya, to find ways in which we can best advance some of the projects there and find a good role for ourselves. And obviously, I can't be the person doing most of the work on all of that. Just too much to do. So we have to get some other people in, and working on that too. So as you can see, we've got quite a full agenda at the moment.
Yes, quite a full agenda. You're recruiting people to form teams. That's really good to hear. You've got more licenses coming there in Australia, and you've got your DRC. In fact, you're going out there pretty soon after you've got your tooth sorted. Is that right?
Yeah, as soon as I'm just organising the visa, getting my tooth sorted, then I'll be out. But there's a massive amount of work going on that, of course, shareholders are not at all aware of, like the teams in both Australia and Kenya, who for months now have been going out doing local meetings with local communities, doing our CSR, community social engagements, there, making sure people are on side. And I think doing in both places a terrific job, which shows that if you take these things seriously and go in there with a sincere effort to show that you're going to be good neighbors, then you are unlikely to have really bad problems later on. I mean, this is touch wood. Things can always go wrong and things can blow up, and there's always local politics. But there's a lot of good work that's been happening there. we've done all of that stuff. But when it comes to actually defining targets for drill holes, drilling is expensive, and you want to be absolutely sure you're putting your drill holes in the right place. So at that stage, you really have to draw in other resources and other expertise and experienced people to make sure that you're not wasting your money.
Okay, good. Well, and that's happening then. That's good. That's good to hear, Andrew.
Yeah.
I noticed, I want to pick up on something you said earlier about taking the company from a 10 million pound market cap to 100 million. So that's the plan, is it?
Oh, well, I mean, it very obviously, it has to be the plan, because you look at the potential of these assets. I won't say what the fast sale price of the assets would be today, or what the asset value will be if nothing happens to them, because then you get much nearer the current market capitalization. But these are projects which I think, as was said of Napoleon's army, every private soldier has a marshal's baton in his knapsack. Many of our projects could be developed into substantial mines. And that's a fantastic position for a small company like us to be in, that Kenya has legs, DRC has legs. We have some really interesting assets there that we either have or semi-have or are talking to. And Australia has a limitless exploration potential. Now, taking these forward with our limited means, and it means that we have to do a terrific publicity exercise, show people what we've got. And I think one of the stages in that will obviously be listing the Canadian assets, the Australian assets in Canada. Because when we do that, it will prove concept to a degree. But we have to do other things too to show that there's value there. That needs more people doing more full-time work, and we've got to get that team together. That's going to be the interesting, exciting thing now. But we have to think of ourselves as a £100 million company and say, what would we be doing better? What would we be doing differently if we were a £100 million company? And then we have to make sure we have those elements in place. And that's that. Some bits of that are very, very obvious. Some bits of that are less obvious. But we're trying to start addressing them all. And it starts, as always, with people.
It does, absolutely. It does. It's all about people. So in this current climate then, where the commodities space seems to have had a bit of a pullback in recent weeks, maybe it's understandable given the run it's had. What can investors expect to see? I guess they can expect some regular news flow with exploration and these teams that you're going to be putting in place.
Well, I think the news flow will almost outpace our ability to write it up.
Okay.
I mean, my good friend Paul Johnson at Power Metal Resources, where I'm also involved, he spends half his time doing RNS announcements for the stock exchange that come out, I won't say daily, but very, very frequently, more than one a week, 2 or 3 a week. And that's not because these things are being invented, it's because the news is actually there. So meeting the expectations for investors, ordering the information, thinking what they'd be interested in, which is different from what Rio Tinto investors would be interested in, BHP investors would be interested in, reflecting the different risks that investors will perceive in a company like ours, and what they're looking for. And they're in a way professionals at what they do, which is investment in small companies. And as professionals, we hope in what we do, we have also to find ways to meet their expectations, and therefore to be professionals at communication. And we have to always, you can say we could do better at that. One can always do better at that. One never thinks one's really getting one's message across.
Well, thank you very much, Andrew Bell. I hope the emergency dentist appointment goes well today and you're able to get your tooth sorted and get out to Africa without any problems, and hopefully get back as well, considering
that when I arrive at the airport with evidence that I'm going to do work in Kenya, the policeman will not take a suspicious look at me and say, "We don't believe that. You're going to Kenya for a holiday."
Yeah. Well, thank you very much, Andrew, for your time today.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for listening to this Stockbox interview. For more information, interviews and videos, visit our website at stockboxmedia.com. or give us a follow on Twitter by searching @Stockbox Media.